Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Anything else we need to
Let her rip.
Do it.
Scared him right out of it.
Do it.
No, he left. He closed.
He flinched so bad.
He flinched so bad he quit the meeting. All right,
Oh my
we're
God.
leaving this in.
Definitely.
Yeah, he knows what he did. And he also knows that this is staying in the video.
Oh, it's totally staying in.
For the record, I clicked the recording button suddenly. And Ryan was so startled that he quit Zoom.
I moved my mouse to hit the okay, we're recording, I know, but and then it went a little too far and hit the leave the meeting button, and my mind didn't have time to process that the mouse went too far over to the right before my right finger thought, let's click that.
You're twitchy, man.
Yeah, and thus the most interesting thing to happen to us in this episode has passed.
Yeah. So with that being said, welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. I'm glad to be joining as well.
Yes, our guest
this
host.
is Ryan. Yeah, this is Ryan.
Is Jake.
This is Mac. I can't stop.
That's a solid start, honestly. Really broke the tension in the room.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
obviously. You will notice our fourth member, Fleric, is not with us today. He is needed on his home planet today, but he will be back for the recap. So we have watched this is our Natsu Midway episode. We
Indeed.
have watched through day 8. So if you have not watched Sumo through day 8, I would highly recommend going back and doing that now and then resuming the podcast from this point forward. Before we dive into everything, we need to give out compliments to our patrons. And we've got a couple of new patrons that have signed up in the past week. So, Mac, why don't you give our first individualized compliment to our new patron?
Indeed I shall. To What a Things. Your support is as dazzling as a choreographed corkscrew twist on the doyo, like Tochinoshin and Tamawashi on day 4. Just beautiful. Thank you.
So synchronized, so beautiful. It was an amazing.
You couldn't ask for something more. It just
Don't worry, I already got that on the list of awards for our recap.
If you didn't, I did.
Yeah. Also, Tochinoshin may be gone, but with Hunter Johns joining the scene, we'll call it a wash.
Yeah,
Right.
it really evens out.
Really
And
evens things out. Yep.
Yeah. And also, on a side note to Wata Things, friend of the podcast for a long time, it's about damn time.
I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to assume that this was our beloved friend, What About Things? But I thought, well, hang on.
I only say that because he messaged us. It's like, I just assumed I had been signed up for a long time.
I thought I did, so I kind of didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
Wada. Okay.
I just thought you kept forgetting my name in the list of patrons every basho.
that we say
Obviously.
every few months.
Yeah. There no obligation from anybody, whether we know you or not, to sign up for our Patreon. Absolutely.
No.
Not. So no judgment if you're not. Absolutely not. But just a little joking with Wata. But we have our existing patrons, a list that Wata Things does not belong to, but will moving forward now that he remembered. We've got Trent, Warehouse Rat, Nikki Shands, Octavian Martin, Baron, Alex Hearn, Willie Yan, Devin Peterson, King of Salt, Robbie Gardner, Giuseppe Salico, Atheorist, DK, Stephen Ward, and Emo Dingo. On a day that was full of Henkas, we want to let you know that we think of all of you as Yokozuna, and we would never dare insult you by attempting a Henka against you.
There was a lot of Henkas, wasn't there?
There was
a lot of
It was a weird day of sumo.
It was
weird.
an odd day.
It was an upset day of sumo, except at the very top. But before we really can dive into the actual sumo happening on the dohyo this basho, probably the biggest storyline coming out of the first week is Tochinoshin retiring. He started the basho, I believe it was 0-5. and he retired leading into day 6. So one of the most popular rikishi, at least among English speaking community. I'm not sure how popular he was in Japan. I don't know why he wouldn't be popular over there. Has finally retired after his body just could not get healthy. And so we want to wish, obviously, the best to Tochinoshin in whatever he decides to do in the future. We're going to miss him. We're going to do a full Tochinoshin episode dedicated to him between this basho and the next basho. So we'll dive more into him and his career at that point, but just wanted to make sure we got that noted.
Yeah, and if you have any specific Tochinoshin memories or fun facts or anything like that that you want us to share, please send them our way. We'd love to hear. I feel like he's one of those guys that everybody has some story or memory of him specifically, just because he not only was he like just an excellent, unique sumo wrestler, but he was one of, like, when you start watching sumo, a lot of the guys look similar enough that when somebody is very obviously different, they're somebody that sticks out, and often that leads to them being one of your favorites. Like for me, Ishihara was like half the size of everybody else in the top division when we started watching.
Yeah.
So like immediately I latched onto him, or Tochinoshin, or who else sticks out like a sore thumb?
Chiyomaru with his
Chiyomaru, yeah.
My boy.
Like those identifiable guys often leads to like somebody's first favorite. And I know for a lot of people, the combination of him being distinct enough to like remember him among 42 new people you're trying to learn, plus being super awesome, made him like very memorable to a lot of people right when they started watching sumo.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's got stories. Send them our way.
There were a lot of people that were saying Tochinoshin's the reason I got into sumo wrestling. So we'll want those stories, and we'll be talking about him quite a bit more between these bashos. But let's get into the yusho race, where our sole leader at this point, with an undefeated record of 8-0, as it should be, the Yokozuna at the top of the Bansuke is at the top of the standings. Terunofuji looking pretty damned good so far. I think he shook off a little bit of rust in the first couple days, kind of got a day off on day 2 against Abi when he just Abi just ran into the brick wall of Terunofuji. I mean, his foot slipped. I mean, that's all there was to it. His foot just slipped and he went down immediately, but doesn't mean it wasn't hilarious.
Right.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy, really.
Damn spoiler.
But I think he's really looked like the Terunofuji of old. Like you're not moving him unless you're getting in a pushing thrusting battle, and he's got a couple of those matchups coming up, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares against those. So with that being said, Mac, right now as the schedule lays out, I would assume that Terunofuji will go up against Meisei and then the rest of the Sanyaku rikishi left in the schedule. At this point, with Asanoyama being 1 win behind Terunofuji, I don't think they want to pull up a maegashira 14 to face the Yokozuna unless like that maegashira is leading the yusho race. They really don't want to match up the Yokozuna with those rikishi. So right now, Terunofuji's winning. He doesn't need to beat Asanoyama to continue to, like, it won't decide the yusho if he keeps winning and beats all the Sanyaku rikishi. So there's no reason to bring up Asanoyama. So with Meisei and the rest of the Sanyaku, excluding Shodai, because Terunofuji already beat Shodai on day 1, who do you think is most likely to beat Terunofuji, if anyone at all?
The only one that I think really has his number is Daieisho. And that's a little hard for me to say because I still go back and forth with Daieisho. I like what I've seen from him, and he goes hot and cold sometimes. Like his performance today, I was like, oh, against Midori Fuji. I'm like, that was rough. But for me, for some reason, Daieisho just has Terunofuji's number. It's the only match with the list of people that he has left to face where I'm like, this is 50-50, because if Daieisho gets inside and just continues to charge and gets right up under Terunofuji's arms and doesn't allow him to get that overarm grip, that's it, because Daieisho's got the stoutness and the size to just continue to bowl him back. So I with this list, I have to give it to Daieisho. If at all, if he doesn't hit him right, game over. But if Daieisho gets a good Tachi off of this, I think Daieisho's got his number.
Yeah, I think we've seen Daieisho's weakness this basho and the couple of losses that he's gotten is lateral movement. And I don't really think Terunofuji is known for lateral movement. So it's really going to be Daisho's
could
strength
say.
against Terunofuji's weakness if Terunofuji doesn't get a good Tachi off to like immediately neutralize those pushing and thrusts.
Right.
So,
I do got to bring up real quick that we have. I met my first fellow sumo fan who has Daisho as their favorite. They are out there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Jamal from Chicago. We recently had a.
yeah.
Yeah, go check out that interview. Jamal's super cool. But like one of the only people I know that like has intensely like strong feelings about Daisho, and he kind of sold me on him a little bit. You know, I'm kind of I certainly think more of Daisho than I used to after like, you know, maybe just getting out of our little meme space of him being forgettable, you know.
Mhm.
But no, I think especially with this run that he's on, if he would just take his time a tiny bit more.
Yes.
Like especially the match today against Midori Fuji. Just you don't have to go 100% forward to push Midori Fuji out. Yeah,
He
just
reminds
take
me
a
so much
second.
of Onosho. Onosho does the
Yes.
exact same thing where he just blasts straight forward. It's like, just take your time.
I understand that's your strength, but you don't need 100% to move Midori Fuji. Just go like 80%, and then he wouldn't have gotten in front of his feet and fallen on his face. You know.
Yeah. We were all hanging out last night, the four of us, Flaric included, obviously before he took off for his home planet.
Indeed.
And I asked him because we knew that his planet was in trouble. They needed him, so we knew he was going to be missing this episode. So I asked him, what one message do you want us to convey on this episode from Flaric? And he said, how about that Daisho? It looked better when he was 6-1.
It was
before
better
he
last
lost to
night.
Midori Fuji, but he's still 6-2. He is continuing his very strong sumo. So far, if he keeps it up, could end up Ozeki next basho. So I have to admit, I've never really been about Daisho, but he's really kind of winning me over, not only with his performance, but god damn it, I watched Sumo Primetime episode where they had him on, and if he wasn't just like a likable guy,
Right?
I really kind of liked, and I want to avoid that. I just want to judge you based on your sumo.
Ryan.
So if I get to
feelings,
if I get to know them all as people, then I'll like them all, and then I won't be able to get a good hate in on anybody. And I like getting a good
Ryan,
hate
shift
in on
it
people
back
sometimes.
to Abi. You're done with Abi. Just
Yeah.
shift your hate to Abi.
Trust me, it's working its way.
that's
there.
you're
Pretty
skipping
swiftly.
ahead. You're skipping
Yeah,
ahead
alright,
on the
sorry,
outline.
sorry,
but yes,
sorry.
it's in there.
But yeah, I think to sum up this conversation on Daisho, which started off as a conversation on Terunofuji. Terunofuji's looking
Right.
really good.
Yeah, Terunofuji's looking good.
And it's a compliment to Daisho that we think that's when you've got guys like Kiribayama, Wakamoto Haru, Hoshoryu that are all up there. It's a compliment to Daisho that we think that's the one. Most
That's the
likely
one.
to get Terunofuji on the dirt. But
Can we segue into Takakeisho from that? Because I think he's the other guy that I would put up there with Daisho.
that's that. Okay, let's just talk about Takakeisho. So Takakeisho, our sole Ozeki at this time, a surprising 6-2, maybe. I think, especially based on how he looked the first 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
He got a Henka win in there. He had a couple of non-Takakeisho like wins in there, and it looked like, oh man, he's really gonna need to scrape together these wins.
Day 8 can't come soon enough.
It's gonna be a nail biter. But these past few days, he got like warm-ups against smaller guys like Midori Fuji that allowed him, even in a weakened state, to do his style of sumo. Nishiki Fuji, Ura, I think
Endo, who's just kind of ass this basho.
No, Tobizaru beat Takakeisho, but he's got up to 6 wins. He's starting to do Takakeisho sumo, is looking more and more like Takakeisho. So it's really looking like he only needs to go 2-5 in the final 7 days to maintain his Ozeki rank. He's got Nishiki tomorrow, so there's a really good chance that he
only needs to go 1-5.
So one.
Yeah.
Well, now hang on. Nishiki didn't do bad today.
No, you're right. Nishiki decided he was good at sumo for 1 day today and absolutely sunned Kiribayama.
Holy crap, did he?
Nishiki needs to get to Takakeisho's belt, and I don't think Nishiki's style and Takakeisho style will allow Nishiki to touch Takakeisho's belt.
No.
So yeah, I guess yes. Day 8 aside, Nishiki is somebody that we can kind of count as like a very likely win for Takakeisho.
Yes.
And then the rest of his schedule is going to be rough. but he only needs to get one more beyond that. And I definitely think that he will do that.
Yeah. And then the question is, does he leave? I mean, he's looking decent right now. So
Yeah.
why leave? But we've also seen it before where Takakeisho, coming off of an injury, will look really good. He'll storm off to those 8 wins, and then he'll either leave or then he'll just stop trying hard and lose the rest of his matches.
It looks like he's been limping a little bit when he comes off the dojo.
A
So
little bit.
Okay, fine. A lot of it. But that's my thought with that is like, okay, he'll get his 8 and like, done. I need to get off this thing.
Yeah. Whether he actually physically leaves or like mentally leaves, I think after the 8th win, Takakeisho's checking out in one way, shape, or form. He's in the yusho race right now, but I do think once he starts going up against Daisho, Kiribayama, the sekiwake buzzsaw right now, I do think it's going to be a bit more difficult for him. And I don't see him being an actual yusho contender here, but it is really comforting to see him storm off to a 6-2 mark and hopefully get those 8 wins.
And he's very likely going to be in the final match of the basho with Terunofuji if he's still around. Not very likely. If he's still wrestling, that will be the final match.
That will happen.
It depends. It depends. Like if Asanoyama wins the rest of his matches and Terunofuji drops one to Daisho, maybe they do move up Asanoyama to that. And Takakeisho's like out of the yusho race. Maybe he gets to 8 wins. Now he's racked up 3-4 consecutive losses, and Takakeisho sitting at like 8-6 on the final day. Maybe they do bump up Asanoyama there because then it could be deciding the yusho or something like that.
Have they ever done that though? I thought they always did. Like in the past, it's always been 2 Yokozuna. If you have them, they will be the final match. No matter what.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it makes. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
What's good entertainment?
For me, I would rather see the Asanoyama Terunofuji to decide the yusho, and I think that's the way they would go if Takakeisho is irrelevant to the yusho race.
They did it with Shodai. When Shodai wasn't irrelevant, they moved him up and down to have the more big names go at the end. So that's possible.
Yeah, Shodai did miss out facing Terunofuji on a few basho while Shodai was Ozeki because Shodai was irrelevant to the yusho race.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember those, but yeah, that. Yeah, so
it was a few bashos ago.
Yeah, I'm not going to find it just by guessing, and it's not important. So
I was about to say I wouldn't.
It was a couple of times, but yeah.
But either way, I'm excited for Takakeisho and Terunofuji to face off because that, along with Daisho, that's like one of the only even-ish records that Terunofuji has left on his schedule here.
And let's not count out Terunofuji's day 9 opponent, Meisei, to transition to our Rikishi that are one off the lead.
In the hunt.
As Meisei is 7-1 right now. Meisei has he's 2-6 against Terunofuji, but since Terunofuji's been Yokozuna, he's 2-2 against Terunofuji. And Meisei is on his shit this basho. So that could be another difficult matchup for Terunofuji
to put it bluntly.
Because Terunofuji or Meisei's got that lateral movement that could really help him against Terunofuji. We'll see if Meisei goes like the Tobizaru Ura route where the smaller guy just goes in deep at Terunofuji. It's like Terunofuji's like, oh, thanks for gifting me both of your arms. I'm gonna grab those now and then lift you up by them and walk you out.
It's like goodbye, game over.
Peace.
So Meisei having a great basho so far, albeit he hasn't fought anybody above the record of or above the rank of maegashira 4, and he did lose to Hira do Umi today as well, which I'm not going to say is a bad loss. Hira do Umi is doing good at 6-2 this basho. And then we also have Asanoyama, as we've mentioned, one off the lead at 7-1 today. Asanoyama also losing today to Hokuseho.
Yeah,
the newcomer.
Legit. Like Hokuseho tried a Henka, which hilarious.
Weird.
But it didn't work. But then they got tied up into a more even like actual sumo match, and Hokuseho beat him legit, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. And off that Henka, I don't know if he would have gotten it if he went straight forward, but he did get like his deep over the back, grab the back of your Mawashi grip. So the Henka could have given him some advantage that a straightforward Tachi might not have, but We don't know, but like Jake said, it did become a straightforward sumo match that Hokuseho was able to throw Asanoyama down. So very impressed with Hokuseho in that match. I know there's a lot of Hokuseho doubters out there, or just haters, because he tends to implement the I'm going to grab you and then lean on you for a long time until you're tired.
We need a successor to Ichinojo's way, and it's working.
I think he's got a lot of Ichinojo in him. He's also got some Tochinoshin in him with that, because he's always high, he's always going for that like over the back,
over
grip.
the arm. Yeah,
Tochinoshin would often have that grip, which would lead into lifts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
for Hokuseho, it turns into like more judo type stuff usually. But there's who was the one talking? I think it was on Twitter. I saw a thread about people talking about him like kind of wrestling one-handed sometimes, and somehow that like works out for him well.
Well, yeah. What was it? The Ryuden match?
Day 4. Whoever he faced on day 4 is where I have the notes, where it looked like he was just kind of it almost on first blush, Ryuden. On first blush, my thoughts were like, wow, he's just like embarrassing this guy. He's like doing this on purpose to like be cocky and stuff like that. But somebody on Twitter was breaking down that it could be like a leverage thing. It's also like if he goes in with the other hand, he's like exposing his hips more to get grabbed. So maybe having the guy at arm's length when your arms are 8 feet long, maybe that's a good idea. But either way, that his win on day 4, where it looked like he was mocking Ryuden, was one of my favorite matches, regardless of why he did it. He basically was just doing it one-handed and made it look like he was a dad wrestling his son, Yeah.
And then he followed it up the next day against Hira de Umi. It wasn't as like blatant and obvious where he was just kind of using one hand, but he also kind of just used one hand to beat Hira de Umi the next day as well. He has started implementing both hands the following days. He definitely needed both of them today against Asanoyama, but great win by Hokuseho, who started 6-2 himself. So another promising Rikishi kind of having a good start to his bottom maegashira career. So kind of showing I'm better than this. We'll see how good he is as he rises up the ranks.
His ceiling is definitely higher than where he is, but he's still super young, super new, still progressing.
Yep. So amongst the group of Rikishi that are 6-2 and are 2 back from Terunofuji, still in the race, but I'm not sure I see 2 losses for Terunofuji coming up. We already talked about Ozeki Takakeisho. It's nice having all of these Sanyaku Rikishi in the yusho race, like leading it Terunofuji. And then 2 back, you have 1 Ozeki and 4 sekiwake. So we've got our top 6 Rikishi on the Bansuke, all in the yusha race at the midpoint. It's a nice change of pace.
Yes.
But as I mentioned, all sekiwake sitting at 6-2 currently. We got Kiribayama, Hoshoryu, Daisho, and just an absolute oversight on our part. Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. We gave Shin Sekiwake Wakatakakage that treatment on the preview basho when he made his debut at the sekiwake rank, and for some reason we're not doing the same for his brother Wakamoto Haru, who has absolutely earned it. And so we got to give credit to Angelic Chorus from YouTube pointing out, like, why aren't you giving Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru the credit he deserves with the title Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru?
That's us. That's us. Our bad.
Yep, you got it.
That's absolutely on us. But joining those sekiwake, the aforementioned Hira de Umi is 6-2, Hokuseho is 6-2, and Juryo is 6-2. So let's start talking about our sekiwake. We've got Kiribayama. We all believe that the goalpost for him this basho to get the Ozeki rank is 10-5. He currently needs to go 4-3 in the final week to get to that point. He is facing off against Daisho tomorrow, who you will remember he beat twice last basho on the final day. Do we think Kiribayama gets to his 10, or is there anybody who thinks Kiribayama is not going to get to that 10 win point?
He hasn't looked as good as before, sure, but yeah, I feel like he's
it's enough.
I think that I would still bet on him getting there.
Yeah, just the he looked better today against Ura. He was able to move forward, but I
was
just,
a little nervous with Ura today.
Ura always makes me nervous against
Right?
anybody.
Yeah.
Ura can beat anybody. Really. He has beaten Terunofuji. So Ura can beat anybody. But yeah, Kiribayama, I feel like I've noticed him not being able to get as much forward movement this basho. Like I feel like he's getting pushed back at the tachi, and then his wins are coming from moving backwards, moving to the side, kind of outmaneuvering.
More of a
people.
reflexive sumo.
Yeah. So it was nice to see him have that forward momentum today. We'll see what he does against Daisho. My guess is it'll probably look very similar to their 2 matches last basho, where Daisho is going to win the tachi and move Kiribayama. It's just going to be a matter if Kiribayama can move to the side in time to send Daisho flying out of his own
Please.
and then sekiwake Wakamoto Haru has, I think I have now, like, I've been hedging on him. It's like, he's not, like, this is kind of all, this is a nice run, but this isn't who he is. This basho, like, all right, no, this is kind of who Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru is. He's this guy. He is 6-2. He's been looking really good. Nishikigi match today, notwithstanding. I think Abi had some theatrics against Wakamoto Haru that cost him a win earlier. But yeah, he's been looking really good. And then you got Hoshoryu, who's gonna Fusen his way to an Ozeki promotion at this point.
Yes.
His record says 6-2, but he's 4-2 in the ring, but that's also not his fault.
No.
So Jake, out of our 4 sekiwake, who has been the most impressive to you this basho? All of them sitting with a 6-2 record. Asterisk for Hoshoryu.
Yeah, I wish that this question was yesterday, because Wakamoto Haru would be the easy answer yesterday. But he just got embarrassed by Nishikigi, somebody that we have completely written off. I mean, I'm not going to say we're wrong for like writing him off as somebody in the zone of death that's going to get kicked back down.
He's 2-6, so we're not wrong.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But one of those being Wakamoto Haru in like a really impressive win. It wasn't anything like shady or like, a toss up or anything. No, he absolutely wrecked him. So
yeah.
Nishikigi is strong, apparently.
His upper body is built.
It definitely seems to me like one of those guys that's stronger than he is technical, But yeah, regardless, the question's a lot harder today, because I think I would have to split it between. I feel like Daisho is the other one I was going to put up in here, but he also got embarrassed by Midori Fuji today. All 4 of these guys are like looking good, but there's a massive asterisk by like, dragging them down a little bit. But yeah, I guess if I had to pick an answer, I'd still say Wakamoto Haru. I think that he's on the rest of the days, he has looked very strong and has looked 100% like he belongs and is not a fluke to be up here so quickly. I think that he's legit turned a corner and like permanently leveled up his sumo after like a 5-ish year, since he's been in sumo for 11 years now. And he didn't get to Juryo until 4 years ago. So yeah, Juryo for about 2 years, and then he's only been up in this division for 1 year. But he's been consistently really, really good, and it's kind of mind-blowing that somebody can turn a corner that hard and permanently. So, I don't know, but yeah, I'm sold. I think it's official.
All right, let's take a pause here.
Sure.
All right, we are back from a little impromptu break here. We'll just wrap up our discussion on our 6-2 Rikishi trailing the leader. We talked about Hokuseho. His impressive win against Asanoyama kind of offsets the bad feeling we got after he was absolutely steamrolled by Tsurugisho the day before. But there's also Hira Duumi, Miyogiryu, Mac. Of these 3 maegashira with 6 wins, which one would you say is the biggest yusho threat, if any? Are any of them going to be a yusho threat?
Yusho threat? No. Dark horse? Yes. I would, or at least a spoiler in that regard. And I would give it to Hokuseho. his win against Asanoyama really helped. I mean, again, his loss against Tsurugisho, like, gives me pause, but he beat a former Ozeki and beat him convincingly. I'm like, okay, maybe again, as we're looking at this guy to continue to improve and impress, like, all right, I think he can pull something out and actually act as a spoiler. Maybe not an actual Yusho contender, but definitely make it interesting. Then right, Hira to Umi, sorry, can't do anything for you, bud. But Myogiru he's another one that I'm looking at and going, okay, he's been around. He knows his sumo, but I have to give the edge to Hokuseho in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Ichinojo before him, who we've already compared him to, he's kind of a hit or miss. Like, maybe he'll be a world beater today. Maybe he will just kind of fall asleep. I worry that that's where he's going with comparing the Asanoyama versus Tsurugisho match.
So let's move on. Let's talk about some injuries and some Kyujos that have occurred during the first week. Takayasu pulling out after the day one Torikumi was released, giving Hoshoryu the rare day one Fusen. So apparently Takayasu had suffered a right thigh muscle injury in practice
that morning, which is a little weird to me. Like, why are you doing a full-on practice right in the morning before a basho? Why aren't you just stretching and getting ready?
Maybe he was. I don't know.
Not fair.
It doesn't seem like it takes a lot to get Takayasu injured and out of a basho. So,
well, he's on the wrong side of 30. So yeah,
he's 33. So he's ancient.
Definitely the wrong side.
Falling apart. Yeah. Oh well.
But yeah. So him at maegashira 2. 0-15 record there typically does not result in a fall down to Juryo. I think it's happened like I talked to somebody on Twitter about it. I think it was like 14 times we've had 0-15 for maegashira 2 and one time since like 1958, the modern era, that resulted in a demotion down to Juryo back in like the early 90s. So the odds are pretty good for Takayasu to stay in the top division. And same exact story for Endo, who is also maegashira 2. He started the basho. He went 0-6 and very obviously did not look right. He went Kyujo on day 7, giving Hoshoryu his second day off of the basho.
But apparently it was both Hoshoryu.
Yeah.
But apparently Endo has sprains in both of his knees. So Takayasu and Endo are both going to be tumbling down the Bansuke for the next basho. We'll see if that lines us up for our typical Takayasu Yusho hopeful, and then pull the rug out from under everybody sort of thing. He's going to be lined up. He's going to be in the right spot to make it happen.
Yep.
Let's do just a couple of quick hits from some other guys on the Bansuke that aren't necessarily in the Yusho race. Keen Bozan in basho number 2. He looked really good last basho, 11-4, got the special prize. He is struggling up at the maegashira 5 rank. He's only got a record of 3-5 at this time. So Keen Bozan looking like he might be heading towards his first makekoshi in his career. We'll see if he can bounce back in week 2 at all.
Yeah, I think for him it was a big change in degree of difficulty or caliber of competition. I don't see this as any sort of breaks on his prospect status or anything like that.
Yeah. No, literally nobody in history has only ever gone up. So right, it had to happen at some point.
It had to happen.
Even the great Hakuho was like, nope, you bounce a little.
Yeah. Even if the trend is upwards overall, everybody's going to have setbacks here and there. He's not looking completely out of his depth. He's just getting beaten by guys that are better than he's ever faced in his career.
I'd say he looked a little out of his depth against Terunofuji, but other than
how many new timers actually fare well against a Yokozuna their first time out?
Not many. Last time he was at the bottom of the top division, facing guys like Chiyoshima or something, that's, and then he's literally against the best in the world. That's a big step. So not shocked that it's a stumbling block here. Oh well. No, I'm still pretty high on him. I think he's awesome. I think he's
good things
gonna stick around.
Yeah. I saw somebody on, I think it was like last basho or a couple basho ago, just say he's like all power and no technique right now. And I feel like can really see that coming to the forefront. Like he had been relying on just being so powerful that it didn't matter like those like how it was coming in. But I think we can I mean, I can't analyze stuff like the sumo intricacies and all the strategy going on and all that stuff. But I can tell like it doesn't look right. And there's just something that doesn't quite look right with how he's attacking. And so I think some of that lack of technique might be coming in for Keen Bozan, but he's still
inexperience. That's all it is. He just needs more experience.
Absolutely. That's not something he can't fix. As we mentioned earlier, day 8 today was the day of the Henka in the top. In the top division, at least I remember 4 Henka. The most ironic and best Henka of the day goes to Tsurugisho somehow, Henkaing the crap out of Chiyoshima.
Poetic, just poetic.
And it was one of those beautiful ones where it's just a complete whiff at the Tachi eye and the guy flies past him and goes down. Couldn't have happened to a more a better Rikshi,
deserving.
really. A more deserving Rikshi than Chiyoshima. So that was fun to see. He had the Aoyama attempted Henka.
What was that?
It wasn't good is what it was.
He stood up.
Aoyama in the past has shown Tsurugisho-esque ability to get out of the way as a big guy, but did not have that. Didn't have the oomph on the Henka today.
Yeah, and it seems like Aoyama's probably fighting injured, trying to pull out all the stops to get a win. He's lost now 6 matches in a row. He's 2-6. So he could be in danger of demotion at the maegashira 12 rank. I think to be safe, he would need 5 wins this basho. It might be tough coming up with those 5 wins for Aoyama. Sure. Then we had the Hokuseho Henka attempt that at the very least allowed him to get a deep grip against Asanoyama. And then he had a Mitaki Yumi attempted Henka that was absolutely destroyed by Onosho.
Just crushed.
That was beautiful.
I feel like he got slammed worse than he would have had he just like stood straight up.
Yes.
Onosho Onosho ended up attacking him at kind of an angle because he had tried to hop away, and that just gave up the leg, and Onosho was able to grab on and just dump him right on his ass.
I felt like I was watching football. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He just straight tackled him.
That looked like an NFL tackle. So apparently, if you want to know the kimarite for an NFL tackle, it's watashi komi.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love that one hand on the leg to pick the leg up as he was tackling him. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it was an NFL tackle, it would have been leading with the head and then like not grabbing on in any way.
The torpedo.
The torpedo.
Yeah. We've got the zone of death for the second basho in a row is living up to its namesake. Nobody in the top 5 maegashira ranks has a winning record. The first maegashira with a winning record is Meisei at maegashira 6. The best you have is Abi with a 4-4 record, but then you've got Nishiki 2-6, Nishiki Fuji 2-6, Tobizaru Ura 3-5. So these Sanyaku rankers are doing their job and they're taking care of these maegashira ranks. So
Komusubi too.
Oh yeah.
Both active Komusubi.
3 and 5.
Both active Komusubi.
Yeah. Kotono Waka started off looking real good at 3-0, and then he's fought in 5 consecutive days. The 4 sekiwake, and then I think Shodai is that 5th loss.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not looking good for them either.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that's the other side of the coin when the top guys are doing the best. Is that this range from down to the bottom of the Joy M5 up to Maegashira 1 or even the Komusubi, just their first week is generally really just all the hardest matches.
Yeah. Which the past year before these past 2 basho hadn't really been too much of a problem. We were seeing a lot of big records and a couple of yushos out of these top Maegashira ranks, and now we're really seeing kind of what you expect. The top of the
because those guys are
guys
that
were getting the guys that were getting those wins though are now in the top. They're out of the zone of death.
Those yusho,
actually crushing.
Those Maegashira yushos were Tamawashi,
Yeah, okay, you're right.
Ichinojo and
Abi.
Abi, none of which are currently in the Sanyaku.
All right,
Fine.
fine.
But you're right. Yeah, it seems like it was kind of like all mixed up together, and now they've kind of like sorted
They've
themselves.
separated themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, but it is interesting because I feel like this is how it like is supposed
This
to
is
be.
how it should be.
Yes.
Like when we started watching, there were 3 Yokozuna and like 2 or 3 to 4, or even 4 Ozeki at a time.
Mhm.
And yeah, and they would always be like winning the yusho race and stuff like that. And yeah, and then post basically, I would say it goes all the way back to when Kakuryu retired. Like even
I'd give it that.
like right around then, it stopped being quite. It was still the Hakuho show for a while, but yeah,
There wasn't anything going on below that.
yeah, and now it's kind of sorting itself out, and these 4 sekiwake that are like potential Ozeki in the near future are just, they're the best guys that aren't Ozeki yet, so they're just proving it.
Yeah. So let's quick history lesson here. So I feel like Tochinoshin, his maegashira yusho in 2018 in Hatsu, broke a streak of 6 years without a maegashira yusho winner, and all of the yusho winners in that time were Yokozuna or Ozeki, with the exception of 1 sekiwake yusho win by Terunofuji. And then you go back to 2012, you had Kyoku Tenho won for maegashira 7, and then you have Yokozuna and Ozeki yusho all the way until I am still scrolling.
Should be Tokushoryu, right?
Oh no,
no,
we're talking
no.
like 10 plus years ago was.
Oh,
Looks
I'm
like-
sorry. I thought we were going to current. My bad.
No.
From 2012 or from 2001 to 2012, every single yusho was a Yokozuna or an Ozeki.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that is how sumo usually be.
Where the top guys actually win.
Where the top guys are the top guys. And so I'm not saying we're headed for that. We have 1 Yokozuna and 1 Ozeki right now. We're not heading for that level of dominance, but with some of these guys kind of getting better, getting their feet under them, going to be hitting the Ozeki ranks, we might be getting to a point where in the next couple of years, maybe we do get a year where every yusho is a Yokozuna and Ozeki, and we don't have 3 consecutive maegashira yushos followed up by like a sekiwake yusho. All right. Is there anybody else you guys want to point out that have stood out to you, good way, bad way, in this first week?
Nah. I think we've hit all the good ones.
Yeah, for the most part, I think there's been some fun individual matches, but like as far as the trends go, like the yusho race has all the guys that we were interested in, anyways.
Yeah. I would say we kind of mentioned Abi a little bit, but he's been pissing me off this basho because once again, like today is kind of like turned everything around, because with the exception of today, Abi has been like attempting 0 forward sumo. Like his game plan is stepping to the side at the tachi or just immediately pulling, going backwards and all that stuff. And it's annoying because he took out 3 of the sekiwake with his annoying ass backwards sumo. And so I'm just a little extra salty at Abi for taking wins away from our sekiwakes who are pushing for Ozeki rank, a rank that Abi will never sniff, because once he's in this area of the Bansuke, he just doesn't have it to consistently win. He's got to be at maegashira 9 and face all the lowly maegashiras for him to rack up enough wins to get a yusho.
Yep. No, I'm with you there. Let's see. Tobizaru and Ura have been entertaining. But that's nothing new. That's not news. There was like a couple other matches that I thought were pretty cool. It was Mitakeumi Hokuto Fuji on day 2 was a lot of fun. That was a great grapple. Wakamoto Haru getting the 360 no scope slam on day 3. That was pretty cool.
That was good.
Let's see. Then there was Takanosho landing the twist of fate on Tamawashi, just going full Hardy Boys. Yeah, there's been some really fun matches, but yeah, like I said, as far as like trends and storylines, we've already covered the big ones.
Yeah, I think the only other one I want to point out, Mitakeumi, sitting with a winning record right now for the first time in over a year. He's had a winning record at some point in a basho. So it's probably the level of competition more than Mitakayumi is fixed, but we'll see how he does the rest of the tournament.
If he was back in 100% form, he
wouldn't have attempted the Henka today.
Right. And he would have had maybe like one loss at this point. Yeah, he's definitely still feeling it. Whatever it is.
Just to touch briefly on what's going on below Makuuchi, the top Juryo rank, it looks like we're going to see Go no Yama and Shonan no Umi, both Juryo 1 Rikshi this basho, force their way into the top division. Go no Yama is undefeated at 8-0, and Shonan no Umi is 6-2, so he'll likely get his 8th win coming up here. And going up to the top division, Bushozan is in really good place. He's 7-1 at Juryo 3, but another guy who's at a really good place for potential promotion is Ochiai, sitting at 8-0. This 19-year-old phenom just does not lose. It doesn't matter how much tape you put on his shoulder. He is not going down. So right now it's looking like this is going to come down to a battle between Ochiai and Go no Yama for the yusho. And when that matchup happens, that's going to be a fun match to see who comes out ahead there.
Yeah, there's a kind of a crowd at the top of the Juryo Yusho race. Go no Yama and Ochiai 8-0. Bushozan and Atami Fuji, who we did not mention. Atami Fuji may be getting over an injury or something, because he was on like an absolute hot streak of prospect run until he hit the top division.
Atami Fuji's still only 20 years old himself.
Yeah. He hit the top division, did poorly, and then had a couple rough basho where clearly there's an injury because he went Kyujo a couple months ago. But something is definitely fixed. So he's doing real good. Shonan no Umi and Tama Shoho at 2 losses. So there's going to be some promotions, and there's Go no Yama and Ochiai on a collision course. Sounds like a ton of fun.
Yes.
And then the big debut people were looking forward to this basho was Ono Sato, the highly touted Nakamura, who is 22 years old himself. He spent a bit more time in university than guys like Ochiai and Atami Fuji. But he started his career with a loss at Makushita 10 on day 1. But he has come back. He's come back. He is 3-1 now. He has won all of his matches since. He's looking good in those matches that he's winning. So he will not join Ochiai, who is alone in a group of Rikshi that have made it to Juryo after 1 basho in their career. But
that list remains at 1.
Yeah, Ono Sato. I would assume he'll make it after the next basho.
Yeah, he's clearly already a low maegashira level at least.
Yeah.
But and the 1 loss that he took wasn't even a bad loss. Ishizaki, who's also a bit of a prospect himself. Ishizaki debuted at Sandanme 100. So the lowest level of Tsukidashi head start. And that guy's only gone up from there. He's only been in sumo for about 2 years, or pro sumo for about 2 years, and has been all the way up to Makushita 1. So that's not a horrible loss to take. That's not some damning indictment of Ono Sato. No. I would expect Ishizaki to make it up to the top division eventually too, at the rate he's going.
All right. We are going to take a quick planned break right now. And then we will be back talk about GSB belt and some other things.
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back. We have the super uplifting news of the GSB belt doing what it does.
Hooray!
We had a lot of hope because Shiden ended last basho with the belt and got all the way up to Makushita 1 East. He was 1 rank away from finally breaking through that barrier and couldn't do it. But he did get 2 wins to start off the basho before losing and sending the belt down 3 more ranks, down to Yuma, who then lost to Shishi, who brought it back up to Makushita 2 West.
Yeah.
And that sounds promising, but because Shishi is undefeated, he will be going up against another undefeated wrestler all the way down at Makushita 15.
Oh no.
Makushita 13. Actually.
13, sorry, yeah.
But still, it has the potential of going right back down.
Absolutely does. So yeah, let's see. How many guys are undefeated in Makushita right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys, of which all of them are even lower than that.
2 of them are in the promotion range. So Shishi, I believe, is slated to face Takahashi,
Correct.
who is Makushita 13. And then whoever wins that match, in order for the belt to get up to Juryo next basho, has to win their last 2 matches, or else it'll be stuck in Makushita again. And it's even more depressing because Shiden was holding the GSB belt. He went up on day 2 to face Sushi Manada, and
he had a Juryo matchup, and then that jerk
and then
won
he
it.
beat him.
Oh!
He didn't want to relinquish the GSB belt. He knows how prestigious it is. He's like, I'm gonna bring this up to Juryo myself, and then he lost to Yuma the next match.
Honestly, just rude to win that match. Like,
Really.
But I
Come
can
on,
tell you, I am
guys.
going to be rooting for Shishi just as hard as I'm rooting for anyone else in the entire
Yes.
basho. If he goes undefeated, he'll bring it well into Juryo, hopefully past the range where he has the option to lose it back down to Makushita.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Also, he's competed here in the U.S. in the amateur league, so I want Shishi to do it.
Really? Who's that?
Yeah.
What's his real name?
Oh, I don't know his actual name. I just know him as Shishi, but I know he's done the U.S. Open and a couple other tournaments here. So I'm like, hey,
That's right. He's the Ukrainian guy, Sergei Sokolovsky.
Yes.
Very cool.
But no, he's done some amateur sumo around here. So I'm like, well, hell yeah, come on, Shishi, let's do it.
Yeah. Speaking of, we'll cover it at the end, but like the U.S. Open was this.
Yeah, we didn't
weekend,
forget.
and
We
that
didn't
was
forget.
a lot of fun. But yeah, anyways, that's where the belt's at. So
the
now,
belt doing what it
Ryan,
does.
depress me even more with our next segment.
Yeah. So it is the Champ-chump series where I feel like a broken record, but god damn it, it sounds so good to say it over and over again. I am leading at the halfway point.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is a very close competition. It's still really anybody's game. I've got 14 points on the backs of Terunofuji's wins and Nishikigi's losses, followed by Jake and Mac, who both have 12 points. Jake is represented by Asanoyama and Takara Fuji, Mac being represented by Kiribayama and Nishiki Fuji, and Fleric is trailing the group with 11 points on the back of Daisho and Midori Fuji. So really, it's anybody's game at this point.
And
all
this
within
week
3 points.
are all the bonus matches. So
Yep,
this
right.
is when it gets crazy.
Starting tomorrow, because we'll have Daisho versus Kiribayama tomorrow.
Yeah, so those Daisho, Kiribayama, and Terunofuji will all for sure face each other. Asanoyama, almost a guarantee. If he keeps winning, he'll be up there against some sekiwake soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of our picks are good. Like we
Yes.
didn't none of our chumps have a winning record or anything like that. All of our champs are within 2 wins of the lead. So like, yeah, it's honestly
solid.
like
This was a solid pick.
we did good at picking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's especially difficult when we're all super, super close. And I don't want to lose my 3rd one in a row.
It's okay, Jake. I've done it.
I
It's
would-
I know
okay.
you have.
Yeah. I don't know if any of us have won 3 in a row.
I could look it up, but I don't
Yeah.
want
Nah.
to.
Why make you look it up? I'll just do it and claim that it's the first
There you
time
go.
one of us
And then
has
claim
done
it's
it.
the first time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our midway lightning round. We'll start with Jake. Who has impressed you the most so far?
Hokuseho, not because he's the best, but because he's outperformed where I thought he would do this basho.
Sorry, Mac. I spoiled your
Spoiler.
Mac. Who has impressed you the most so far? And I question your choice. But
and that's fine. You are right to question that choice because I even questioned my choice with this, but I had 0 expectations from Mitorio for this one. I thought he's gonna flub, he's going down, no way. But by God, he's holding on and making me a believer that he is a bottom ranked Maegashira. I'm like, all right, man, you have impressed me so far. Now go back down to Juryo.
Yeah. We need room. Like
We
it's
need
kinda,
room.
it's iffy right now. Like Gonoyama and Shonan Umi, I think they're going to be locks to make it up to the top division, so they could replace.
But
like,
yeah, we got to make some more room.
there's
But
not.
and that's why he's impressed me. I'm
Yep,
like,
yeah.
all right, you've held on. That's great. You're doing more than I thought. Now go away.
I just want to make sure there's enough openings for Ochi to get in.
Exactly.
Just real quick, circle back to that. Ochi to have a promotable record would be 12-3, so that means he needs to go 4-3 the rest of the way out, which is very doable for him. Me, who has impressed me the most so far, Wakamoto Haru. Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. Just because I keep expecting him to have a losing record, to not be as good as he is. And this basho, I feel like he's really shown how good he is. So
Sure.
Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru. Mac, who has disappointed you the most so far?
Koto Shoho, baby, darling, sweetheart, you gotta try.
What are we doing?
I don't know what you're doing, but you gotta do something.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, I know we said that like it's got to happen eventually, but Keen Bosan, 3 and 5, just disappointing result. I understand it, but it doesn't mean I'm not disappointed.
You were hoping he was Sumo God and would just go straight to Yokozuna in one go.
No, that's Ochi.
Oh, okay, you're right. Sorry.
Okay.
Demigod-ish, like a Sanyaku mainstay.
Yeah.
Jake, who's disappointed you the most so far?
Emotionally, Abi. Sumo-wise, Kota no Waka. I want him to be in the mix with those 4 sekiwake. He's just not doing it this time.
Yep, absolutely. Favorite match of the basho so far? I think Jake and I are going to piggyback on that Hokuseho Ryuden one-armed thing. What about you, Mac?
For me, it was Kotoeko versus Oho. So Kotoeko is another guy that I have a soft spot in my heart for him, just because I love the amount of energy he brings to a lot of his matches, even if they don't go his way. But today against Oho, I'm like, oh my God, this man is a demon. He just wouldn't go out of the ring.
It's never an issue of effort or anything.
Yeah.
No.
And yes, we are experiencing a Koto economic decline right now, but he's still always really fun to watch.
Yes.
Kotoeko did almost beat Asanoyama. I think some people think there's a bit of controversy that there should have been like a Tori Naoshi called in their match. It might have been day 2 or 3. But
I've got a bunch of question marks on that one. I have a robbed potential coming up for that.
I think it was pretty clear dead body rule, and I believe people that understand Japanese say that that's what the Shinpan called, that Kotoeko was dead. Pretty much Asanoyama still had a foot on the dohyo, and yes, he was parallel to the dohyo and 6 inches above it. But Kotoeko Kotoeko had both feet off the ground, out of the dohyo. Like when you're floating outside of the dohyo, you have 0% chance that you could win that match in any way, shape, or form. So they consider you a dead body, and that's what happened there. Yes, they touched down at about the same time, but Kotoeko was considered dead before that. So I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of controversy there.
Fair enough.
Most exciting potential matchup, Jake.
For me, it is the Sekiwake buzzsaws going at each other. I just think those 4, that it'll be, I guess, 3 days where there will be 2 different pairings of them at some point here, probably.
So there's going to be 6 Sekiwake, 6 unique Sekiwake matchups. We've already had Hoshoryu versus Daisho.
Oh, we have.
Daisho
That's right.
won. Tomorrow we get Kiribayama versus Daisho and Hoshoryu versus Wakamoto Haru.
Yeah. Regardless, though, that area is my most exciting thing that I'm trying to watch, because I just want to see who comes out on top when they are all on fire here.
Yeah. Mac, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
Asanoyama et al. I'm like, all right, let's see if he's still got it to go, and let's see if he can challenge Terunofuji.
Yep.
For me, I want to see the Terunofuji Wakamoto Haru rematch. I believe the last time that these two fought each other was the match where they had to stop it because Wakamoto Haru's belt was coming undone.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
There's the whole debacle there. But Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru was putting up a hell of a fight against Terunofuji. Shin Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru has only leveled up since then, so I'm really looking forward to see how that matchup fares.
He's going to tear off Terunofuji's Mawashi.
Yes.
This is what it feels like.
Yeah,
We're going to get nudity on the dohyo, damn it.
Yeah.
All right, and the big question, Mac, who is going to win the yusho?
I got to give the edge to Terunofuji. I can't take it away from him.
I've got to agree. I've got to go with the Yokozuna Terunofuji.
I would say Asanoyama is the closest, and I would only put him a hair behind Terunofuji. But those are
At least one loss behind Terunofuji.
Indeed, that is the hair.
yes, exactly, aka a hair. No, I guess if I'm making the odds right now, Asanoyama is probably a clear second place because he's not gonna necessarily have quite as much of a buzzsaw as the sekiwake will against each other. But he is still gonna have to earn it if he's gonna get it. So he's gonna get some hard matchups coming up here.
Yep. All right, and before we get out of here, we did have a question come in from one of our $3 level patrons, so Honor and Bloodbound to answer it. And I will point out that this patron wanted to make sure that we answered these two questions, and they upped their donation amount just after the preview episode from $1 to $3. So they're out for blood with this one. We'll start with the easy one. This is from Dave Rodriguez, and he was just asking us, how does the Yobidashi and Gyoji ranking system work? And I know, Jake, you did a little bit of research into how this all goes.
Short answer is seniority. That's at least as I understand it, the majority of the decision making on who is what rank is based on seniority. When you get towards the very top levels of the Gyoji in particular, you'll see people considering like accuracy of their Gyoji-ing, overturned calls and things like that would come into play when you're deciding like, is this guy senior enough to finally get to the top rank, even though he's been a Gyoji for like 40 years. But for the most part, it's seniority. Like the longer you are in it, the higher you will eventually make your way up. Which is just kind of how things work in general. For Yobidashi, similar idea. The longer you're there, the higher up you go. And by higher up, basically what that means is you are then doing the job for the higher level matches. So like you could be ranked as a makushita Gyoji, like that would be the rank that you are referred to when you are at the level of Gyoji-ing matches for makushita wrestlers. So they follow roughly that same track all the way up to the top guy is like the Sanyaku Gyoji or equivalent, whatever they call that. But it's mainly just how long you're there and make sure you are getting your matches right.
Mm-hmm. Which our current Tate Gyoji is not very good at, as he had his 10th call overturned since 2019 in the Takakeisho versus Tobizaru match. And so for the 10th time since he became the top Gyoji, he had to shamefully walk into Chairman Hakaku's office, offer his resignation, and have his resignation declined. So we're kind of in need of a new Tate Gyoji. Ours is broke.
I think he's doing all right. He's doing fine.
Wait 40 years for the next guy to have equivalent experience. Yeah, who knows?
But
oh well.
But for Dave, I don't think that question is why he upped his donation, to make sure that we answered the question. He could have asked us that at any old time. We would have answered that, no problem. We would have answered that.
I just read his second question.
But
it's not a question, though.
Yeah. It might have been phrased something like, can you do this? Which makes it a question.
And then the answer is no.
No.
But his question, Ryan, what is it?
Yeah, so he knows that we are all Minnesota Vikings fans. And as Minnesota Vikings fans, we hate the Green Bay Packers. And so Dave has used the power of money to force us to say something nice about the Packers. And we could take the easy way out and not do that. But we have...
But
I will then.
No.
You just said I can.
Jake, my blood is on the line.
I was about to say, Ryan's blood is currently
even
sitting
like
in a
a question,
refrigerator
though.
waiting to be sent out.
So
it's not like we'll say anything you want for $3. I thought the idea was they would send us a question for us to look into.
Hold on. Let me look into exactly what we were offered. Maybe we can still weasel our way out of this.
But no, he wants us to say something nice about the Packers. I don't think that has been said yet. But yeah, I mean, they certainly are one of the football teams, I guess. I can say that.
You are a good enough organization to have a trophy named after you?
They're in the top 32 of football teams that I know. I don't know what... How else can we like loophole this one?
I am a man of my word, and I want to give him his money's worth. So I will say the Packers have done a very nice job over the past 3 decades of making sure that they draft a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I will cry myself to sleep for the next decade if somehow Jordan Love is their 3rd consecutive
Please, dear
Hall
God,
of Fame
no.
Super Bowl winning quarterback. So
Yeah.
props to the Packers on that. That's all I can give.
Okay,
That's
good. All
at
right.
most.
All right.
That was rough, but yeah, we
Yeah.
did it. Okay.
All right. I hope that was worth it, Dave.
All right. Well,
Jake, I need another hit of Malort. I need something that is just so tasty that I have to have another hit of that.
I
gotta get that
don't
good stuff.
understand the anti-hype for that stuff.
Anyways, now that Max brought up Malort, we might as well do an amateur sumo update. Usually do these at the top of the show, but we forgot to put it there in the outline.
Sorry.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. We can't go off the outline that's already written. So anyways, amateur sumo update. Yesterday, the 20th was the US Sumo Open. Wrestlers came from all over the world, but the American wrestlers, the local guys that often get like kind of manhandled around by like some Mongolian guys or some European guys or Japanese guys, we held our own as a US scene.
I believe the proper term is kicked ass.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Thank you.
But regardless, it was really cool to see some of our national champions up against some of the best in the world from amateur sumo. I'm not going to give any spoilers. Go watch it. It should still be on YouTube, but I would watch it sooner rather than later because it has kind of been a pain to find that video after watching it live. Hopefully this one stays up on YouTube though. So go check it out. It is on the USA Sumo YouTube channel. Also coming up, let's see, 3 weeks from now on the 10th of June is the Riverfront Sumo Open in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is at the JFAX event, like a big Japanese cultural convention. And sumo is great for that, right? So the second year in a row, Grand Rapids is putting together a tournament as part of that, part of JFAX, and they're calling it the Riverfront Sumo Open. The week after that is the 2nd annual Cowboy Cup down in Dallas. So that one will be streaming on YouTube. I'm pretty sure the JFAX one will be on the Grand Rapids Sumo Facebook page. That's where they have streamed in the past. But I'll certainly post if I hear anything else about that. But the Cowboy Cup, I know for sure, will be on the Dallas Sumo Club channel. The Cowboy Cup, less than like 2 months after putting together Roller Town. I don't know how the Dallas club is able to swing it, survive the planning of all that stuff. But the 17th of June will be the Cowboy Cup. After that, there's kind of a break. July and August are a little bit more sparse for events. August 6th will be the Harvest Days Sumo Open in Salt Lake City. And I'm going to that one. That is the first tournament put on by the Salt City Sumo Club.
Oh yeah, we met them a couple. Yeah,
that's George and Rob.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them put on some events there. So yeah, there is a lot coming up, but I'm kind of bummed because the U.S. Open, JFAX, the Riverfront one, and the Cowboy Cup will be probably the first string of 3 events in a long time that I can't travel for. So I'm going to miss a handful in a row. Oh, well, but yeah, no, there's a lot of big things coming. There will be a newsletter out at the beginning of June. Normally I wait till the end of the month, but I wanted to kind of preview JFAX and the Cowboy Cup. So the next newsletter will be coming out as early in June as I can make it.
All right, and kind of to that point of all the traveling that Jake has done for amateur sumo, we did have a voicemail that we teased that we would play at the end of the last episode of the preview, and Jake just straight up forgot to play it.
It was partially that I forgot, and also that we were kind of all over the place because I lost internet that day, and I had to
yes.
I had to edit a file super quickly and get it over to Ryan and have Ryan post it and walk him through all the stuff. Yeah. And in the mix, I forgot to put the voicemail into the podcast. Yeah. You saw it if you watched us on YouTube because Mac remembered to do it. And
yes.
Mac. But So if you're listening to this on audio, we will be playing that voicemail from Rod and a new call-in friend of the show, Josh, also left us a voicemail. So those will be playing right before the credits here.
All right, so let's not waste any more time. Let's let people listen to those voicemails. So thank you, everybody, for listening.
Hey guys, this is Josh, the Cyclone fan in a very foreign land of Lincoln, Nebraska. Got a hot take for you here. I believe Kiseyama takes the GSD belt up to Juryo, and along the way smothers Ochiai in his gelatinous bosom, ruining that man's career for all time. I also think that something that you should be watching for is Terunofuji's walk-off. He goes 15-0, and just like Hakuho says, mic drop right at the end after he sits on Hoshoryu, putting him in his place one last time. Catch y'all later.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Until next time.
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.